The amount of sounds that you can use in collaboration with note blocks in Minecraft has a very wide variety of melodies and tunes you can make. However, a lot of people actually struggle to make melodies of their own, not because of the fact that they don't know what blocks to use to make the melody, but the main fact being is they don't know what to think of in general, or it could be what I said before. Either one. So in today's Minecraft video, I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks that you can use in your own melodies. If you guys are going to enjoy this video today, then why not hit the subscribe button down below and turn notifications by hitting that little bell icon once you subscribe. Plus, as well as doing Minecraft stuff, I do Splatoon and Smash Bros content, so if you enjoy that kind of stuff, then why not subscribe and turn notifications. But anyways, let's get into the actual tips and tricks. Also, by the way, I'm sick. Think of an idea for the melody. This is probably the hardest part out of all of the entire theme, because mainly a lot of people just want to get in and start playing all sorts of notes. They want to get in, create some stuff, and just do all the sorts of stuff that just they place notes and try and see what's good for the melody. Whereas if you have a slight, even a smidge of an idea on what you're going to do, then it'll help so much in terms of going in blindsided. So here's a few tips and tricks to find ideas for your melody. Tip number 1. Experiment with notes. The first thing that comes to mind when trying to make a ground foundation for your melody is to take a series of notes and play them in a certain order. For example, if you were to take A, C, and E, it makes a nice melody. You see? Right here I've created two simple ideas using this simple octave scale right here, so let's have a listen to them and see how they sound. You hear that? This scale right here is simply major. It means that it is bright or happy or cheerful. Whereas this scale right here, which uses the notes G, B, and D, also this uses C, G, C, and E, this uses the notes G, B, and D, and it creates more of a darker tone. As you can hear, it's a lot different to the actual theme from the major tone. We call this a minor tone, where the theme is not exactly happy or cheerful, it's more of dark, mysterious, or even tense, which is why they're used in a lot of horror films, intense thrillers, and action movies, etc. One thing to bear in mind when you're doing this kind of thing is that there's no wrong answer exactly, but you should probably pick certain melodies that work out certain ways. For example, if I were to take some notes right here, did not mean to do that. So right here is an example of what I mean. You can use the notes A, D, and I believe that's F. So let's have a listen and see how it sounds. See? That right there sounds pretty cheerful in my heart. You hear that? Quite happy, if I'm going to say anything. These simple tunes right here are simply made from this one octave scale. You can use the two octave scales in the entire musical note system. Tip number 2. Knowing what notes complement each other. This one's pretty straightforward. Knowing what notes fit with other notes is how I would say it, because if you pick notes that are way out of tune or just not suitable for other notes, it can be kind of weird and offset. Right here I've got an example of a very familiar theme that is outdated, and if you consider it kind of boomerish, you most likely will know it. Yeah, you'll know it, and I can guarantee you'll know it. Do you guess it? If you didn't guess it, then that is the Five Nights at Freddy's theme created by the Living Tombstone. I suggest if you want to go and listen to some pretty good music, I recommend you go and check out his channel. He's got some really damn good music. But enough about him, I've got some explaining to do about this, because the fact being that this is kind of plain. It's got the melody, but there's no backing track to it, so let's add a small backing track to it as an example of this scenario. So right here we've got a small section around the back that has a bunch of note blocks, all of which are just on the first note because there's nothing changed about them yet. However, even though there's no notes on them, there's still something wrong about them. Let's see if you can spot the mistake that I made when making this backing track to the melody. As you can pretty much see, that there is a huge time difference in how the pace is going for this. It's going much faster than this. So, the first thing being, actually this is another pointer as well, keep your timings in sync with the actual melody. This is why you need to have repeaters in between each of your note blocks, otherwise you'll get something that's kind of like this. So the best thing you can do is keep it with the melody, and as seen as this has 6 ticks in between, so which being that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, to get 2 notes in between, for this example, you would have to do 3, a note block, and then another 3. And then you just repeat the process until you get to 8 note blocks. Now that's fixed, let's have a listen and see how it sounds. That's much better. a lot cleaner than what it was before, but the pitch is still off, so let's change that. Right, now that the backing track has been tuned to accurately suit the theme and mood of the actual theme, let's have a listen and see how it sounds. Seems pretty good, right? Sure, the theme's good in general, but there's one thing that's missing out of all of this, and it has something to do with this, or more importantly I should say, is the blocks being used, because certain types of blocks give you certain different outcomes in terms of the noise it makes. For example, here you go, dirt or diamond or something like that, anything that's not on the scale right here will make such a scale of a piano. And that goes for glowstone as well. All of it has some sort of sound, and for what this is, you can clearly see that the notes don't have much difference. They're the same sound. So I think we should change it so it suits the mood for the actual theme. I'm thinking for this theme that the guitar will actually work really well, because just in general, anything with a guitar on the backing track will go really well. Believe me, I've heard a lot of songs and a guitar with vocals or keyboard goes really well. If you don't believe me, look at stuff up on the internet. Now that the backing track has been changed from a piano to a guitar, let's see how the whole melody sounds from the top. Sounds pretty good. I think it actually suits really well. This is just an idea, and it can be any theme you want to create your melody over. Speaking of which, let's move on to the next tip, because this kind of relates to what the next tip is about. Tip number 3. Use ideas from other songs or melodies. Now, when I say this, I do not mean go straight ahead into a song and just copy an entire section out of it. I mean, take some sort of inspiration from it. So for example, this old theme, like I said before, this hunk of junk that I created, not mine, hashtag, it's going to be a foundation for, say, a different theme. But let's say this was too much for me to use my melody to be classified as it being different. So let's just say I want to only have this small segment right here. This right here could be used for my own melody. You can see right here that it's got similar pieces to it, but I can change the entire setup and say, I don't know, we'll say, just an example, make it 2 pitches higher. It might not be good, but let's just listen to it, because it might be better. Right, let's have a listen. Now as you can see there, I did not really do something that well, because I just went with it on the fly. This is just a small idea of what you can use into your melody. Bear in mind what I said before is try not to copy the entire theme, take small inspiration pieces here and there for the melody, but don't try and copy the entire song, because for one thing, you can get 2 things done to you. One, you'll get a lot of hate credit from a lot of people, because nobody likes copying other songs in general. And second, in the music industry, you can get copyright claims on said music. So just take small samples of different melodies and combine them into your own with a bit of your own ideas. That's the main thing about music. Try and make your own ideas, but at the same time, take inspiration from other artists. Finally, tip number 4. Use chords. Chords, although be not necessary to be added into certain themes, it can be nice to add a couple here and there to add a bit more life into it. Like for this example. These 2 right here are just a small, oh not as small, but just 2 examples of what chords could be like. So for example, G, C, and E. They create a major theme. Nice and cheerful. The best way I can put this is that chords are 2 or more notes combined to make a harmonic theme. So if I were to do, instead of doing all 3 of these at once, I can just do C and E. It's nice. So if you compare that to just doing E, or not C, E, C, it's kind of plain. Whereas if you add something like G, it's nice. Whereas something like this, these don't exactly mean anything, because if you know these notes mean, then congratulations, you are quite intelligent for knowing this on certain instruments. These are a combination of minor and major chords. These right here are just simple notes that are combined to make a minor theme, hence being dark or dramatic. This in case it be dramatic and maybe a bit major, if I might say. It sounds a bit major. If you still know what I mean, these are the notes on which you would have to play to actually create the chord. You would use D flat, E, and A flat. Or minor if you want to consider the minor notes. Going back to our example melody, this is going to be a bit more of a stretch because you're just adding a chord to it. But if you add something like, say, I don't know, in this case, this is a 7, which being, I believe, it's a C flat. Let me just double check, make sure I'm right. Indeed I'm right, it is a C flat, and if I was to do 10 notes, this would be an E. And now if I do, or not do, but just play said note, like so, you can see it adds a bit more life into the actual backing track, which is good, because we want that. And so if I add another E note right here, this will give a bit more life into the actual theme, whereas where the 2 points where the notes like hit together, or more or less the backing track, and the main melody notes clash, they will give a bit of a synchronization between the two of them. You'll understand when you hear it. You can hear that in the backing track, that you can clearly hear a big difference just by playing it. You can hear that these note ones right here are a bit wider than the others. However, if I were to do it to every single note, and now I play it, it will feel a bit wider in terms of the chords. Now see, that's good and all. However, there's too many chords. Like I said before, you want to have a few chords in your melody, not too many. So let's remove a few to give it a bit of a break. So now that I've removed a couple of chords in between, and there's only a chord for every second note, let's see how it sounds. As you can see, much more cleaner and a lot better than what it was before. Like I said before, it adds colour to the backing track. Much cleaner and much better. Just overall, as a melody in the backing track. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video of tips and tricks for creating any sort of music, whether it be real life or in Minecraft. If you guys enjoyed today's video, then why not hit the subscribe button down below and turn notifications by hitting that little bell icon once you subscribe, because like I said at the start of the video, I do Splatoon and Smash as well as Minecraft stuff. So if you enjoy it, then why not subscribe and turn notifications. But anyways guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.